Imagine a man whose wealth was so immense that storing it became a crisis in itself. Banks weren't enough, safes weren't enough, warehouses weren't enough. Eventually, he buried money in barrels underground, hid it inside walls, and scattered it across fields. Even nature couldn't control his fortune. Hundreds of millions of dollars were lost every year, rotted or chewed up by rats. And perhaps the most ironic thing, one of the richest criminals in the world could never use most of his money. This man, Pablo Escobar, didn't just earn money. He rewrote the system. He turned fear into a language, wielded power like a weapon, and changed the fate of an entire country. But this story isn't just about his rise. It's also about an inevitable fall. Born in 1949 in the dark heart of Medellín, Colombia, Escobar grew up learning how to survive. The streets were harsh, the people were harsh, the rules were harsh. Poverty wasn't just a condition, it was a cycle. Escobar wanted to break this cycle, but not through work. He decided to manipulate the system. Even as a child, he observed what power meant. He saw how wealthy people commanded respect, and how feared people were untouchable. That day, he made a decision. He would not be ordinary. He would rise, no matter the cost. His youth was marked by small crimes, reflecting his mindset. Forging documents, smuggling goods, stealing cars. These were just the beginning. But the important thing was this. Escobar didn't just participate. He thought about how to make these operations bigger. He wasn't just a criminal. He was a strategist. He learned how to use people, instill fear, and buy loyalty. And most importantly, he learned patience. By the 1970s, the world was changing. Cocaine use in America was rising rapidly. A massive, uncontrolled market. Most people didn't notice, but Escobar did. The moment he saw the opportunity, his life's direction completely changed. At first, he made small shipments, took risks, suffered losses, but he never backed down. Each failure made his system stronger. He found better routes, chose more reliable people, and organized his operations more efficiently. And eventually, the Medellín Cartel was born. This cartel was no ordinary criminal organization. It operated with military-like discipline. From production to distribution, every step was meticulously planned. Cocaine was produced in Colombia, flown to the US, and then distributed on the streets. Each shipment was worth millions of dollars. These shipments never stopped. Escobar was no longer just a leader. He was the head of an empire. He became one of the richest people in the world in a short time. Storing, transporting, and counting money itself became a major operation. Some sources even claim that portions of his cash were dried in special warehouses to prevent decay, while others were buried underground. But money was never his main goal. His goal was power, and the fastest way to power was fear. Escobar knew this very well. Plata o plomo, silver or lead, was not just a slogan, it was a system. Anyone who stood against him had to face this choice. Politicians, police officers, judges either took bribes or were killed. The system was so effective that even the state began to lose control. Bombings, assassinations, plane attacks. Cities became battlefields. People never knew when an explosion would occur. And at the center of this fear, there was only one name: Escobar. Over time, Escobar didn't just gain power in the underworld, he also gained influence in politics. To win public support, he helped the poor. He built houses, established neighborhoods, and created sports facilities. People began to see him as a savior. But there was always a catch. When the public loves you, they protect you. They hide you. They don't report you. Escobar used this as a shield, and for a while it worked. One lesser-known fact: Escobar built his own prison. Known as La Catedral, it was officially a prison, but inside were soccer fields, bars, party rooms, and lavish personal luxuries. A palace disguised as a jail. Some sources even say cartel members went there willingly, as Escobar could control them while allowing them to live comfortably. His lifestyle was unbelievable. Luxury villas, private jets, countless cars. But the most remarkable was his massive estate. On this estate were exotic animals: giraffes, elephants, and hippos. Even today, some hippos still roam Colombia as part of his legacy. One night, when his daughter was cold, he reportedly burned about $2 million in cash to keep her warm. This wasn't just wealth. It was a symbol of control and power. But history always teaches the same lesson. No matter how powerful you are, the higher you rise, the harder you fall. As Escobar's power grew, so did his enemies. The Colombian government, the police, and especially the DEA launched a massive operation to stop him. This was no longer about capturing a criminal. It was about dismantling an empire. Escobar was increasingly trapped. His men were captured, his connections severed, his cash flow slowed, and most importantly, he was losing control. At this point, Escobar's psychology began to change. The man who once controlled everything was now losing control. He constantly moved, trusted no one, and even doubted those closest to him. He couldn't sleep at night, always on high alert. The man who once spread fear was now living in fear. This is the darkest side of power. It elevates you but leaves you utterly alone at the top. On December 2nd, 1993, it was over. Escobar used a phone to speak with his son at a hideout, a mistake that revealed his location. The police moved in swiftly. The house was surrounded. There was no escape. A firefight broke out. Bullets flew through the air as Escobar ran onto the roof, perhaps seeking one last chance at escape. But there was none. He was shot and fell to the ground. Billions of dollars, a kingdom of fear, an empire of crime, all gone in an instant. Pablo Escobar's story is not just a crime story. It is a story of power, paranoia, and the limits of human psychology. Some remember him as a hero, others as one of the most ruthless criminals in history. But the truth remains: when power and fear merge, it eventually destroys even its master.